What's going on, guys? It's Jeff Tuffner here on the Glorious Podcast with my Monday Night Raw review, the December 4th, 2017 edition. And there is a lot to talk about from tonight's Raw. It was, it didn't seem like halfway through the show tonight, I really didn't seem like I was going to have much to talk about. There were about two matches, one promo, and that was about it. And it was 9:30 already. But then, like, the second half of the show, there was a lot. It just all of a sudden, it picked up completely in the second half of the show. It was a bunch of matches, a bunch of things went down. It's really like they crammed it all in there too. It's like they really should. They did a bad job spreading it all out. They took way too much time up with just two matches in the promo to start the show, and then everything was just kind of thrown together there toward the end, and it was kind of. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it could have used a little more room, which is crazy to think. And I'm saying that Raw needs more time or whatever, but I mean, it's not really they don't need more time. It's more that they misused the time tonight because they spent so much time in the beginning of the show the two matches they had in the beginning too, I'm not even complaining that they were like bad or whatever and it was just a waste of like 15 minutes. Both of them were very good matches. Roman Reigns versus Jason Jordan. That was a pay-per-view worthy match right there. That isn't what if this were like a pay-per-view or whatever, that would be one of those great matches on the show or whatever. Ideal match. I gotta give it to Jason Jordan too. Because I was shitting on him too when the opening promo, oh my god, on the mic. I mean, I say this every week, but he is awful on the mic. I mean, he's almost he's just missing the mic skills. He's really just missing the mic skills and the character. He can wrestle. He can wrestle. I've seen him wrestle. Over the last few months on Raw, if you've been watching Raw, you've seen Jason Jordan wrestle. You know he can wrestle. It's not that he can't wrestle. That's not why people hate him. People hate him because he has no character and is so like when he gets on the mic, it's just like it's the worst. We say Roman Reigns is bad. I mean, it was him and Reigns were going back and forth. It was the battle of the two guys who were probably the worst on the mic in the company right now. But anyway, they set up a match. I mean, throwing the mic skills aside, they put on both a great match. Roman Reigns ends up retaining the title, obviously. But yeah, like I said, that was definitely a match I would have accepted to see on a pay-per-view. So I'm happy with the opening match for Raw tonight. And then Samoa Joe comes out. Well, he was there the whole time actually. I wonder if this is going to lead to maybe a triple threat setup sometime down the road. I don't know if they would wait it off all the way into the Royal Rumble. What they'll probably do is they'll just throw it on maybe Raw next week or 2 weeks from now or something like that. Because there's no way they would like announce it like next week that it would happen at the Rumble with that being almost like 7 weeks away. So I mean that's kind of what they're doing. You're seeing a lot of title matches on Raw and stuff. That's probably how it will go for at least the next 3 weeks maybe, until it's time to start really kind of getting serious about building up for the Rumble. But you'll probably see more title matches, and I think Roman's going to do the Intercontinental title open challenge kind of thing every week now. So yeah, that will probably continue. So that's good, dude. That adds an element to the show, though. I do like the open challenge thing. It's definitely something that makes something worth more watching on the show than a boring segment or whatever. The other match that took up a nice majority of the opening half of the show was Paige and Sasha Banks. I was looking forward to this match. And it was a pretty good match. Paige was a bit rusty in the match. That was kind of obvious, but I still like the match. I feel like if maybe, once Paige gets back into the swing of things and, 2 months down the road, her and Sasha had another match, I think it would be, much better than this one. It would, definitely be one of the better matches of the year, possibly, if that happens. But, there was that scary spot where they went for, that flip off the rope, and then Sasha landed awkwardly on the ring. So other than that though, it was kind of, there was a few other parts of the match were kind of sloppy and stuff, but everything else was it was a pretty good match. It was a pretty good match though. But Paige ends up picking the win, and then Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville attack Sasha after the match. Same story's been going on here for weeks now. And then later in the night we saw them attack Alicia Fox. And then they went to get Asuka again, but Asuka just backs out again. So I feel like I said this last week, but it's pretty obvious what they're leading to here with the whole women on Raw right now. It's going to eventually lead to pretty much the entire Raw women's division, excluding Paige, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville. Excluding them, pretty much everybody teams up. All the heels and faces go against them, basically. It's obviously that's where they're going to end up going. I mean, they've been teasing it. Eventually, you'll see it happen over the next few weeks, where they kind of go there. And then, obviously, then we'll all boil over into a women's Royal Rumble match in January. That's been all but confirmed at this point. It's only a matter of time before they do announce that match. So, but yeah, Paige and Sasha Banks, good match. Roman Reigns, Jason Jordan, good match. It's already, this match, the Paige and Sasha match is getting over. It's 9:20, and we're already almost halfway through the show. But I'm not even in a bad mood. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing tonight, even though that took forever, all that stuff. And there were a shit ton of commercials. too in there. I mean, I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but it just felt like there was a lot of commercials too. Because I was surprised when I looked at it and it said the clock and it said 9:20 because I really it didn't feel like it should be 9:20. I felt maybe it should be like maybe 20 minutes back, but there must have been 20 minutes at least worth of commercials during that hour, a little over an hour there. Um, then there was some backstage segment. I don't know where they're gonna go with this, but I don't know if they're doing something with Enzo and Nia Jax or whatever. But they had that little weird backstage segment, which has led a bunch of rumors all over it, the internet and stuff. I don't know. We'll have to see if there any more news comes out later in the week, and if they're gonna do a storyline or whatever. Who the hell knows at this point? But that's something worth noting. Cruiserweights had a match, and the good matches continued. It was a number one contenders match between Drew Gulak, Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, and Tony Nese. The winner would take on Enzo. I think they said next week. And Drew Gulak ends up picking up the win. It was another good match. I like this match, too. The Cruiserweights have been putting on good matches. They're giving them a little more time. I think it was last week, not 2 weeks ago, maybe. I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure it was last week. There was another Fatal 4-Way match they had, and it was a good match. Nobody was talking about it. Everybody was, everything else was overshadowing that match. But I was like, that was probably one of the best parts of the show was that Cruiserweight match last week. This week, once again, another good Fatal 4-Way Cruiserweight match. It's because they gave them more than like 5 minutes or whatever. Let them do a little stuff. There were some cool spots in the match. So they gave them good time, and then they ended up getting a good match out of it. So it's definitely better for that because usually the Cruiserweights would just be like the piss break of Raw. But they, last few weeks they have not been that. But anyway, Drew Gulak picks up the win, so he'll take on Enzo next week for the title. So that's going to be interesting because him and Enzo are kind of like a pairing, and now they're going to go against each other. This was, in some ways, this Enzo and Drew Gulak comparing. I was just comparing it to The Miz and Damian Sandow. Remember 2 years ago, I think it was maybe, they had The Miz and Sandow together, and they were doing the whole thing, and then, like, Sandow was practically being The Miz at one point or whatever. I mean, this hasn't gone as far as this. It's been nowhere near as long. I mean, that program with Sandow and The Miz went on for a long time, but I don't know why, but I saw, like, some, similarities between that and, the Enzo and Drew Gulak thing they're kind of doing. Even though it might be already over or whatever, and they might just kind of go their separate ways. They're not going to go long term, I don't think, with that. We'll have to see if that ends up happening, but there you go. I think the Cruiserweight match next week, you have another Intercontinental title match. So, we had the Raw tag titles on the line tonight. So it's just titles on the line all over the place. For pretty much, you're going to see that a lot in December on Raw. Because they don't have the pay-per-view. And then we get to kind of like the second half of the show, and then things kind of there was a lot that happened in the second half of the show, but it wasn't good stuff really. A lot of it was kind of just like just get it over with kind of stuff, nothing special. I didn't care for Braun Strowman destroying Elias because I don't have a Braun. I like how they booked Braun Strowman, but I don't like why they booked Elias to pretty much get destroyed. I think they could have booked someone else in that spot, like Kurt Hawkins or whatever, but for some odd reason they booked the red hot Elias, who's been on fire over the past few weeks. He had that phenomenal match with Roman Reigns last week for the Intercontinental title. But then they just had him come out here and get destroyed by Strowman. And then, after the match, we get, Kane up on the Tron. And then Kane versus Strowman next week. Probably going to be the main event. And the way they were making it sound, it seems like it's going to, they're reinforcing the ring again. So, I don't know, probably going to be the main event of Raw. And probably the ring's going to come down or something. Something stupid like that's going to happen probably again. Because they've only tried that like 3 times this year. There's a good chance that'll probably end up main eventing Raw next week, but like I said, tonight, I'm not surprised tonight was at least like a decent show tonight, a pretty good show actually. It's because they're in LA. I know whenever I see they're in LA, I kind of, I smile because I know it's going to be at least a half decent show. They never put me to sleep when they're in LA. They always at least put a little bit of an effort forth and extra effort forth compared to what they usually do with the shows when they're there. But tonight they just, did that again. They kind of made it more of a better show. This is how Raw should be more often. Should be a show like this. What else happened? I already talked about Asuka, Alicia Fox, and then, Alicia Fox gets attacked by Paige and friends. Like I said, I already talked about all that. I'm not going to go into that again. Finn Balor, Bo Dallas, quick little match. I thought The Miz was back for a second when they had Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel come out to The Miz's music. I'm like, wait, The Miz is back? I thought he was still filming that movie or whatever. But I guess not. Finn Balor picks up a win over Bo Dallas. One thing I did like, we finally got it. I was worried they were going to skip it out. All this stuff was happening tonight on the show, and I was like, man, they're really not going to have any time for it. We finally got broken Matt Hardy in WWE, though. The promo, him and Bray Wyatt, where they were kind of cutting back and forth on that little thing there, that was amazing. I'm saying broken, but I mean, I don't think they're actually going with broken. I think they're actually going to go with woken almost. I mean, I'm pretty sure I haven't really heard the word broken. They've been kind of saying woken, woken, woken as almost as if it is broken. Kind of the same thing in a way, but I mean, still. But tonight we saw Matt. It felt like we were watching the Matt Hardy from like the TNA days almost a year ago when he was doing the broken gimmick. It wasn't the same Matt Hardy we'd seen in WWE the last like 6 months or whatever. So yeah, they had that good back and forth with him and Bray where they were kind of just saying stuff, and then it kept cutting back to each one of them. I mean, it was simple as that. It wasn't even like 2 minutes long or whatever. That's all they had to do tonight. I'm fine with that. That works out perfect. I'm looking forward to this feud. Dare I say it? I'm looking forward to a feud involving Bray Wyatt. Believe it or not, I think this feud will actually help Bray Wyatt too because just the way like it finally gives him to use Bray Wyatt's gimmick fits perfectly with this feud and Matt Hardy because Matt Hardy's got the kind of like crazy broken thing, and then Bray Wyatt's already crazy as it is based on his gimmick. So it's really a good feud. This should work out really well. I hope it does. I hope WWE doesn't screw this up. I hope they let Matt just go all out with this gimmick because I know he's been dying to do this for like ever since he's came to WWE. That's basically been the goal of it. Come to WWE, do this whole broken thing. Obviously, I didn't expect it. No one expected it to be this long until we got it. I mean, I'm surprised we're sitting here. It's December 4th, and we're finally getting the broken thing. The whole gimmick just now. I mean, and they returned back in April, beginning of April, WrestleMania. So it took that long. Everybody was saying it would happen at SummerSlam maybe. That was like the ideal time. But the whole lawsuit with like TNA and everything and trying to get the gimmick, that finally came to an end. So I think that's why we're just getting it now. I mean, we probably would have had it if it wasn't for that. The whole, the dumb lawsuit that went on through the summer and stuff with that gimmick and everything. But yeah, I think Matt has the rights. So I think it was like December 15th is where he has like the full rights to like the entire gimmick or whatever. I remember reading that like last week or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe they're just gonna say Woken for now, and then maybe when it comes December 15th, they'll start using Broken and all, and then they'll really go all in with it. Like tonight, it was like right there, but once like December 15th passes and Matt has the WWE and Matt and they have the whole gimmick to them, then I feel like then they'll just go full on with it. Hopefully they do. Hopefully it doesn't get screwed up because that would be a huge thing to Raw. I've been saying that for weeks on end now. Like you can go back just over the last 2 months maybe. I've been saying if they would just make Matt go broken, it would be huge for Raw. It would be a whole different thing to Raw. It just make Raw so much better in a way because Raw had been kind of mediocre at that point. And Raw has been getting better over the past few weeks. I won't lie. Like I kind of enjoyed last week's show in a way. It wasn't great, but this week too it was definitely better this week than last week. But still, Raw's been kind of getting some consistency going, and I like it because it hasn't been there in years almost. And I'm surprised too at this time of the year, like after Survivor Series, December. This is usually the time where they just throw the towel in and they just say screw it until like about January when they start building up to the Rumble. But I mean, I've been enjoying what I've seen so far this month and the past few weeks. So hopefully they're able to keep it up. I mean, SmackDown better take notes or whatever because SmackDown's been just putting me to sleep. Putting me to sleep really ever since the last, I don't know, September maybe. I just can't take SmackDown anymore. It's you get one good episode. It's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite of what Raw was before, like the WrestleMania and everything. It was the whole other way around where we get one good episode of Raw almost every 8 weeks. Now it's that way with SmackDown. We barely get a good episode anymore. Most of it just seems like just the original SmackDown from like when it used to be on Friday nights and stuff like 5 years ago. But I don't know. Well, we'll see how that goes tomorrow with SmackDown and everything. Another thing worth noting too. There was a commercial tonight. Next week's, I think it's next week. It's WWE Week on like USA or whatever, and they're actually going to be airing NXT on the USA Network next week, which is a very good idea because then if people who don't have the WWE Network maybe watch it, and I assume it will probably end up being a good episode. It's they recorded a bunch of episodes like a week ago or whatever, so I think it'll end up being one of the good ones. But that would be cool to see that on TV for a week. It would definitely help with the network. New people will watch it. New people will enjoy it most likely. And then WWE gets people to subscribe to the network, so it works out in their favor. And then we also got Tribute to the Troops on Thursday, so 4 straight nights of wrestling next week. Yeah, so big week then, I guess. But yeah, Raw, it was okay show. I mean, I'm really having a tough time figuring out like what I would rate the show though out of 10 because I feel like I liked it a lot, and not a lot, but like I liked it like more than usual. But I feel like it's like wasn't great though. I really don't know. I feel like I'm gonna end up settling on like maybe a 7.5, 7 out of 10. It wasn't like 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 caliber. It was nowhere near that. But still, I thought it was just a much better show than usual, and I don't know. I'm just happy with what we got tonight. It was just better than usual. Hopefully, they're able to keep this up. Though I really hope they don't go back to the just boring garbage episodes of Raw for 3 hours of nonsense almost. They got a lot of stuff going too. That's the thing. I feel like they're actually starting to. The reason I'm enjoying it, I think, is they're actually starting to excel with some of these storylines in a way. Now you have the Matt Hardy broken thing with Bray Wyatt and everything. They're actually giving the cruiserweights time to get a match. There's stories actually on this show now that are actually kind of okay, and they're not just absolute garbage like they were for months before that. So I feel like there's just so much going on, so many stories that are actually somewhat intriguing. That's why the show, I think, has been better, really. And the wrestling's been great. Tonight was just a perfect example of that. Just watch the first hour of Raw. You want to watch good wrestling. Both matches I would think were pay-per-view caliber matches. But I think that's it. I think I've covered mostly everything for Raw tonight. Yeah, like I said, though, 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. Let me know what you guys rated the show out of 10 down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow after SmackDown with my SmackDown review right here on the Glorious Podcast.